Hi, I'm Ileana Limon Romero here with Alicia Delgado.
Hello.
Thanks again for joining us for the Orlando Sentinel's Twitter Q&A, talking all things Orlando City, Orlando Pride, OCB, everything you need to know about soccer in this community and beyond. So it's been a very busy week stretch for the soccer club and been through so many changes. So want to take a step back before we start taking your questions that were tweeted to @OSLines. You can still send us serious questions,
Yes.
as we appreciate the amusing commentary we've got, and we know that we can be an outlet for comedy. But if you have anything you want actually answered, you can still send those questions in. You can also join us on Facebook Live, send questions in from there. We're happy to hear from you. But first, to recap, Alicia, so the last time we talked, we had discussed the firing of Coach Harrison Heath, and
Right.
since then, we got a chance to see Orlando City and Orlando Pride play. Let's
Yes.
talk about Orlando City's performance. Thoughts on how that first game without Harrison Heath went?
Right. It wasn't exactly the performance that they were hoping for. They were hoping to come out with a lot more passion, that the players would be really affected and shaken up by the coaching change and want to come out and perform. The passion was still lacking in that game, but they also didn't let it go completely. They didn't suffer a horrible loss to a team that's on the bottom of the Western Conference. So they held it together enough to come out with a 0-0 draw. The end of a not so great week, but at least it didn't get any worse.
A point is a point. That's always something worth remembering in those kinds of instances. Orlando Pride, they lost 6 players to Olympic call-ups. Definitely a challenging stretch for them, the first time that they had played in 2 weeks, with a lot of players in some very unique positions, spots they had not played before, taking on the Boston Breakers, last place team in the NWSL, and it didn't start off so great.
No, it didn't. They did not look like they were meshing, gelling well. I mean, you had an entirely new back line. You had Kaylin Kyle, midfielder, playing center back. Everything was switched up. Everybody watching thought that they were not going to win this game. In the end, Kristen Edmonds comes out with 2 goals, one in the 90th minute, one in stoppage time, to salvage a 2-1 victory for the Pride. And Kristen took a really tough hit. She ran into the goalkeeper on her second goal, and she went down really hard, went to the hospital afterwards. But we received word yesterday that the doctors cleared her to play this weekend, so that's good news. They thought maybe her jaw or her cheekbone was broken because she couldn't speak after the game and might have had a concussion, but they cleared her, no concussive symptoms, and she just has deep bruising that she needs to rest for a few days in the jaw area. So she will be back this weekend.
Yeah, we had heard that she wasn't going to be able to talk for a couple of days, but she already has made a huge improvement from yesterday to today. I was out at Pride training, and they said they feel very good about the forecast for her playing this weekend. So that's huge news for the team.
Definitely.
Again, still adjusting to players in new roles, but they have a dose of optimism behind them after pulling out that victory. All right, so we're here to answer questions. Let's get right to them. You can continue to tweet @OSLines, again, serious questions, or send us questions via Facebook Live, and we will be answering those as well. So first up, City Beautiful game at City Beautiful SC. Any news on the coaching search?
So I've been sharing any news I get on the coaching search with you guys as it comes so far. And all I can confirm is still 3 to 4 candidates that they're looking at. There will be recognizable names on the list, and there will be no Brazilians on the list. So that's a key point. I know a lot of people feel like there is this Brazilian conspiracy with the club, and we're surprised to learn that.
All right, very interesting. We'll see how that develops. Again, you can keep following OS Alicia D and @OSLines for the updates on the search. All right, we're going to our next question, again from City Beautiful game at City Beautiful SC. Is Kaka good to start Wednesday?
A lot of you may know this already because I posted this morning, but I received confirmation this morning that no, he will not be playing against the New York Red Bulls. They didn't feel like they wanted to risk it, and he's not recovered from his calf injury in time.
All right, so we'll see how the forecast looks for the next game. Again, the reason they are so conservative is because he's invested in playing the remainder of this season and all of next year through his contract. No, it's frustrating for both him and the fans, but that is the plan that they're going to continue to observe. All right, next question. Trey Helwig at Trey Helwig. Thanks again, Trey, for joining us and asking questions every week. We really appreciate it. Could you share your opinions on the supporters group and Nocerino incident? Any response from the players to the criticism? So for those of you who may not have seen it, there was a short video clip circulating on social media that showed some supporters getting into disagreement with Nocerino as he was leaving the field. Definitely some criticism there. We've seen that criticism before. We've heard it here, questions raised during the show about the frustration over his salary and his production so far for the team. So obviously that is a sense of how things have bubbled up and the level of frustration on both sides. What did you hear from Darwin Soren? He was one of the players who has sort of addressed this issue.
Right, yeah. So I don't want to give my opinion because I didn't witness the entire altercation. I did see the video clips circulated on social media, but I did speak to the players a little bit about it. I talked to Darwin yesterday, and he said to me, you know, they're hearing people in the stands call down to them, tell them they're not working hard enough, and it really hurts him. It really hits home because he said they're working really hard. The results still aren't going their way, but they are working for the fans, and they're doing the best that they can right now at this moment. He said that they also have been hearing rumors from disgruntled fans that the club may be divided and players not getting along internally, and he wanted to reassure everyone that the club is united internally, especially with the players, that the only division there is maybe a language barrier. Some players who don't speak the same language may not speak to each other all the time, but as far as everything else, he believes that they're united on the field in this time. I also spoke with a few other players, David Mateos yesterday, Harrison Heath today, and they all kind of echoed the same thing, that while they're hearing everything, they're hearing fans' frustrations, but they need to put it behind them, and they need to just try to focus through everything, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to be professionals about it. They're trying to turn the season around so that instead of hearing the fans yelling at them, they can get applause once more.
Yeah, I think they understand. The veteran players in particular have been through both coaching changes and slumps that look a lot like this, and what we've heard from them is that the best way through this is to continue working hard together. They've seen teams fracture and it does no good, so they are insisting that they are sticking together. That is an interesting perspective. Right. We have one quick Facebook Live question from Mike Thornhill. I'd like to answer part of it and then I'll just open it up. Okay. Is Thierry Henry on the list of coaches for OCSC? And I'm guessing if Orlando City is doing a quality search, they're not going to share who is on the list at the moment. That's something where you can sort of put some projections out there. I would be surprised if Thierry Henry were on the list, simply because I don't know that he has a level of MLS coaching experience or general coaching experience that they expect. Remember, their expectations are high and they're building this team for the playoffs. So they are not about to make a change where they don't feel that a person has the technical experience to really get them there. He's someone who is fairly recently departed the playing ranks, and I just would be very surprised. Any thoughts on any specific names from the search, because that's what people are hungry for?
I don't want to speculate. I'm promise you, I'm looking into different names that are being thrown around, that I'm hearing around, and once I confirm anything, I will for sure let everybody know immediately. But I would be surprised. I agree with you 100%. They have said they want someone with, if not MLS experience, someone who's very, very familiar with the league and the rules, and there are a lot of MLS rules that take a lot of learning. So I would be surprised at that as well. But they're looking to get someone in within the month. So move quickly.
With Orlando City playing on the road so much, there's even a possibility, like by the time the team comes back around, you could see someone. It just depends on how the interviews go and how they progress. But we will keep you posted. Appreciate the question on Facebook Live. If you've got any more, keep them coming. You can also send them to @OSLions on Twitter. All right, let's go to our next Twitter question. Again from Trey Helwig. Kristen Edmonds for MVP.
100%. I'm on board with Kristen Edmonds. I think she is phenomenal. She was one of my favorite players, not only on the field but off the field from the start of the season. She has shown up huge for the Pride. You saw it in the last game where she can carry that team when their Olympic players aren't there, and so far I'm on board for Kristen Edmonds MVP.
She's the most versatile player. Technically on the Pride roster, she's listed as a defender, but she's played midfielder, she's played up front, she's played all over the place, and really has contributed extensively throughout the season, has been really a key for them. I have no issue with her being called MVP, and Tom Sermati has called her the steal of the season. They weren't sure what they were getting when they traded and acquired her And he's just been blown away by her work rate, her optimism, and her leadership. And had a chance to talk to some of the younger players, some of the rookies, and they just rave about her. They see her as a tremendous role model. So sure, MVP, we're good with that.
Next up.
Right, from OCSC blog. Does the front office realize how the terrible timing was for firing Heath? Is there any turmoil between Flavio and Rawlins? Oh, this is a very popular topic of speculation far and wide.
Okay, so I think it depends on who you ask those questions to. No, the front office does not think that it was bad timing. They think that it was good timing because in their generalization, when I sat down and spoke with Phil Rawlins, he said that they thought with half the season still left, they had time to turn things around, bring someone in and turn things around. So that's why they chose the timing that they did. I, said to him, it may not seem like the best timing to a lot of people because of the long stretch. July's a really tough stretch of games, the transfer window just opening, but they believe it was the right time for them. So there's a note of the first part. The second part was...
Any friction between Flavio and Flavio Augusto Silva, the majority owner, and Phil Rawlins, the founder of the club, and a minority owner.
Yes. So a lot of people, different people, including within the Orlando Sentinel, have reported that they believe there's friction there. But as far as what I can confirm and what I've seen, I don't believe there's friction between Flavio and Phil. I think that their working relationship is a lot closer than people believe at this moment in time. And Flavio also, I just found out recently, is planning to move from Portugal to the United States and be in Orlando and live here full time by the end of the month. So I think that kind of shows you the relationship is a close working relationship and will be even closer now.
A handful of times I've interviewed Flavio, he has absolutely raved about Phil Rawlins. Now, obviously, you can say what you're going to say in the course of an interview, but he was extremely effusive in his praise, and I just think that they could at times disagree over business decisions, as any business partners might, but I don't see that going much further than that. I see them working together for quite some time based on the interviews that I've done. But really, the answer to this question, because there is so much debate, is going to take time. Only time will show how long Phil is affiliated with the club, how long the two keep working together. But all signs in interviews that we've had with people point that they are going to continue to collaborate.
Right.
So we have a Facebook Live question from Sebastian Rojas. Are we getting any new players anytime soon? So yeah, it's a transfer window.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I mean, so obviously the first one is going to be Jose Aja, who is already here with the club, but they have not formally announced his signing yet. The paperwork is still being finalized, so that will be very soon that they announce him. The rest of the transfers, I've followed up on this. I know that the plan under Adrian Heath was to bring 3 to 4 players in very quickly at the start of the window, and now, we've seen that stalled. I only know of one player being brought in right now at this moment. I was told by Phil and other people with the club that they have been in negotiations with these players that for weeks before the window opened, before Adrian was fired, and that they were following along that path. And seeing as though they have no set timeline to bring a coach in, they don't know, I think they're unsure if a new coach will come in before the end of the transfer window. So that being said, I would have expected to see those, a few more players come in already, but we haven't. So I think it has been stalled for some reason.
All right, so we'll continue to monitor it. I think it's a challenge. I think it behooves them to be quiet in the transfer window. It's one of the things that the club does not publicly comment on these things. It does. We accept the challenge as journalists to try to figure it out, but when we are not telling you anything, that means that we have nothing confirmed yet. We are not going to give you any rumors or false information. Right now, there is nothing imminent besides the one that we have already nailed down.
Correct.
So keep watching this space. We'll keep you updated. All right, next Twitter question. Fuller Thoughts, at Fuller Thoughts. Is it true that Rivas' disappearance has anything to do with the string of nocturnal mass vigilante sightings in the city?
This is one of about 50 questions similar to this that we received. So thank you for the fun and the jokes and the laughs.
Have there been masked vigilante sightings in the city?
I mean, I feel like I'm missing out because I haven't seen any.
Because there was this Russian thing in the news. Did you
Right,
No.
right. And then who knows if there's like an intersection of Pokemon Go situations going on.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'll
Well,
have to-
look, let's talk seriously though. I'm assuming they're trying
if there
to
are
get
masked
at.
vigilantes, I might want in on that.
Yeah, just let us know seriously if that was legit. But if that's not, let's just say Remus. Thoughts
Yeah, there
on
were a
where
lot
he
of
stands.
questions on Remus, and I think there's a few follow-ups after this. But Remus is back training with the team. I do expect him to travel and be available in New York. And prior to now and this week, it was a coach's decision not to have him playing and not to have him practicing full-time. And that was under a different coach, so we should see a change.
All right. One quick Facebook question from Marco Matrivsky, which I'm going to roll through real quick. Kaka playing versus the Red Bulls. You might have joined us a bit late, Marco. No, he is not playing due to injury. It's unfortunate, but he's not going to be able to join the team. So they are working towards slowly easing him back into the lineup, and we know that's what's coming next.
Yep.
All right. So next Twitter question. Again, OCSC blog, so we followed up on this already. Any chance we see Remus tomorrow? So
Yes,
that's
there
very
is a chance.
specific. A chance.
Yep.
So not only traveling, but definitely a chance that he could
There
play.
is a chance, yes, that he could play.
All right, very interesting. Next Twitter question we have from Orlando City SC Brazil. Have we chosen a coach, and which players are we going after? Logic says coach first. Almost a week is very unusual to be without coach.
So I think we touched on everything else. They haven't chosen a coach yet. Stalled on players. We only know of one that they're bringing in that is practicing with the team right now. But I think that being a week without a coach is not that unusual when you didn't already have a coach lined up. When you have multiple candidates that you want to interview, I know other teams have gone longer than a week, much longer. I think Mark Watson actually took over as interim coach for the rest of the entire season with his last team, and then was hired. So.
That's just happened in
It's
Houston.
happened.
Houston right
Yeah.
now was riding with an interim coach. Had gone a long period of time for an interim coach. So this isn't, by MLS standards, isn't extensive. And the goal is to get the selection right. They have confidence in their interim coach, which is also a nice thing. And I think they'll see how they do and continue to interview you. It's certainly a decision you do not want to mess up.
Right.
All right. Next
Who's next?
question. Steve Ellis at Vanian170. Do you think that last result screwed the owners as they thought sack Heath, play worst team, and get big result? Everyone forgets.
No, I don't think that's exactly was their line of thinking. I think they knew that people aren't going to forget about Adrian Heath easily, and that even if there had been a result on Friday, 2 days after Heath was fired, that would largely be because of Heath's coaching with the team that week leading up to the game. So I don't think the result on Friday had anything to do with that. But, I mean, that said, they didn't completely bomb the game either, so I don't think it really, can I say that word? Screwed them. I don't think it really screwed them.
All right. Next question from
I
Steve.
approve of that.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on. All right. Steve Ellis at Vanian 170 with the next question. Do you think the new coach will be Brazilian?
So, Steve, I think I tweeted this out yesterday, I believe, and it gained some traction. But no, I've heard that there will be no Brazilians in the search of candidates. So.
All right, so that's very interesting. We think that they'll stick to that. All right, we have another Facebook Live question from Marco Matrevsky. He has a sad face about Kaka. So what about the next match? So if he doesn't play, does he play at Vancouver, I believe?
I don't think so. I don't think he's traveling with the team. I don't have that confirmed yet, but I will know very soon because I'm traveling to New York. I'm going to New York and Vancouver, so I will get a complete update as soon as possible, but I don't believe that if he's not fit enough to play the Red Bulls tomorrow, then he's certainly not going to be fit enough to take a long trip on an airplane afterwards and miss out on a couple days of training to get there and play in Vancouver. Those are my feelings. Personally, like I said, not completely confirmed yet, but I will get that to you as soon as possible.
All right, we have another Twitter question up next. Steve Ellis at Vanian170. Do you think that little Heath, that would be Harrison Heath, playing was purely a PR stunt rather than on merit for that game so that it diluted feelings at ZB? No.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all, and I don't think the majority of people saw it that way because he does have a lot of promise, and the games that he had played in for Orlando City prior to that point, he gave solid performances, and like I said, he shows a lot of promise on the team. I know that they were trying to get him some minutes before that, and Bobby Murphy gave me his reasoning for why he put Harrison in there because he wanted to move Darwin up. And you've seen that before where they were choosing to play Harrison over Notarino in previous games. So I don't think it was a PR stunt at all, and I don't think people felt that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had said before, I mean, the tiniest of silver linings for the Heath family is that Harrison is no longer playing on a team for his dad. I know that those are tough emotions to go through, but in many interviews with national broadcasters and elsewhere with people here, Adrian had said, he's the best passer, but there was a bit of hesitation in putting him in. It's awkward to make that decision to keep someone outside the lineup and to put your son in. And in this case, he's been widely praised by teammates and coaches who have said at this point, he's the best midfield passer that they had in the situation for this past game, and they were happy to have him in the lineup, and I think he performed. He showed a lot of heart.
Mm-hmm. Next up.
Fuller thoughts. Serious question. What is going on with Remus? Why is he not even on the bench lately? So the last we heard, technically on the record about Remus, was that it was a coach's decision that he did not play or travel. So
yeah,
Bobby
mentioned last week after the game that he pulled up with a little bit of a hamstring issue, maybe the day or two before the match, but I didn't see that in training, and I didn't see that after the game. He looked strong, he looked healthy, so I don't think that really played a role in him not playing in the game on Friday. I think it really had to do with the coach's decision, him not having been with the team and practiced with the team and played with the team recently, and now that decision has been changed, and he has been training, and he looks fit.
All right. Next Twitter question. Let's see what we've got up. Orlando City pundit, OCSC pundit. Is Phil really on his way out? Best choice for coach?
According to Phil, the only place he's going is to his office every day. That was his direct quote to me when I asked him if he was planning on leaving anytime soon. So no, as far as I know, Phil is not really on his way out. I think a lot of people are hearing a lot of emotion from different sources and building on that instead of building on facts. And the facts that we know right now are that Phil is staying. He says he's on board with the decisions that have been made and has a good relationship with Flavio at this moment.
All right. Next Twitter question. Let's see what we've got. Chase Daniels at Chase Daniels 88. This looks like it was a two-parter, just talking about Kaka. Kaka's injury history this year, will he play in the AllStar game or sit it out to make sure he's healthy? Interesting question.
Yeah, it's a really tough call. It's a little early to call. I know the AllStar game is the 28th, but it really depends on how he comes out of this injury by the end of this week and early next week. If he can get to a place where he's feeling comfortable enough to play in the MLS All-Star game, I don't think that they would risk him playing in that game if he's not, if he's just come back. Like, say this takes a little longer, say his injury takes another week or so for him to come back, then I think the discussion would be there for him not to risk it because they will need him for the playoff push based on where they're standing right now. So I think it's a little too early to say definitively whether he would do that or not.
Just to be clear, he was willing to give up an opportunity to play possibly for the last time with the Brazilian national team due to injury, so I think that he will use the same metric of how he evaluates his body, whether or not to play in the All-Star game, even though he was the MVP last year and loves playing with high-caliber players against,
Wait,
talent
so if he doesn't
elsewhere.
play, does that mean I don't get to go?
I don't know. I guess you're going to have to talk with Kaka and see what's going on.
So, yes, he's playing in the All-Star.
Very funny. All right, next question. Giovanni Taliaferro, GOV designer. Has the current coaching search impacted signing of potential players? So this is a slightly different spin on this question. I'm sure certain players want to know who would be leading them. So would there be any hesitation from players signing with Orlando City from that end if there's uncertainty?
I think that might be a reason why there's been a holdup or a pause on players coming in because, like I said, I expected at least more than one player to be here already. But I think the player that is here, the negotiations and the paperwork and everything were further along than other players. So, like I said, we don't have that confirmed right now, but I think that, in my opinion, that would definitely contribute to one of the reasons why we haven't seen more players coming in the window so far.
Very interesting. Great question there. All right, next one from Twitter. Steve19 at Steve Larmature. I still don't know how to pronounce this, Steve. If you can send me like a pronunciation, that'd be super awesome. Has the club said why Rawlins backed out of talking to the media last Friday night? Very interesting.
You guys get a lot of information.
All right. So he was, a couple of reporters tweeted that he was scheduled for a press conference and that did not show as part of the post-game press conference. What happened?
So I was told that it wasn't so much him backing out, but that there was a miscommunication, funny enough, within their communications team, and that he was not confirmed to be there. He didn't know that he was actually supposed to be there, and so it was a last-minute thing. They were trying to get him there, and he just couldn't go. So I know a lot of people were upset about that, and I think someone told me that someone with the club, maybe Kay, tweeted out that he didn't know that he was supposed to be there, or that he had said he couldn't be there 24 hours prior, but it was a whole big miscommunication within the team internally.
Right. Now, I will say, as much as he missed that particular media availability, he was available for numerous media outlets the day before.
Yeah.
He did talk with the Orlando Sentinel, did talk with a few other people, and then taped a statement.
Yes, he released his open letter, he taped a statement and put it out to all media, and then he also met with me personally one-on-one, an MLS writer, and WFTV.
So I think there probably would have been some opportunities to do more, but I expect him to be accessible in the future. We have not had issues with talking with Phil. It was unfortunate timing. Sometimes things happen, though. I don't think it was intentional. So, all right, we are through our Facebook Live and OS Lines questions. Do you want to check if there's anything else on last call real quick? I really appreciate all the questions that we're getting. Just a reminder, this is going to be a very interesting week. We've got 2 Orlando City road games, 1 Orlando Pride home game, and after all of that, we're going to be back here again taking your questions. So if you've got any, don't forget that you can send them to @OSLions throughout the week, and specifically Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning. That's when we're really looking for them. It'll be 3:30 p.m. Tuesday. Any stoppage time questions?
No.
Kind of need a Jeopardy clock, like.
There's a.
We don't have the rights to use that.
Oh, never mind.
There's a couple. There's a couple here. I'll retweet one of them. The other ones I'll just reply to personally because they're kind of redundant.
All right, so that's the other thing. If you have any questions that you don't think answered, you can send @OSLions, @Alicia D, and I'm @OSCeliana. If there's anything you feel like you're not quite getting answered, just tweet at us again. We'll be happy to answer directly.
Right.
All right, so we'll look at the last one.
Yeah.
Stoppage time. Any chance of Bautista starting for Kaka so we can slide Molino back out to the wing? From Josh Spivey @Josh_Spivey.
Yeah, I think there's a chance of that, but the thing is that if you start Baptista, you still need a backup plan because it's not 100% that he'll be able to perform at a high level for all 90 minutes. So you risk not having him as a super sub off of the bench. But yes, that is a possibility. We've seen them do that before earlier in the season, closer to when he was signed, and yeah, possible.
It's definitely possible. The results were a little better when he was more of a super sub than it was starting the game, but it's hard to tell if maybe any fitness has improved at this point. He just exerts so much energy and throws so much into it, like he just doesn't know how to lay off, and then all of a sudden he just starts to run out of gas.
And he's a little bit older.
He is a little bit older, so that's the challenge there. All right, so thank you so much for all your questions on Facebook Live and via Twitter. Oh, there's one last one from Marco Matrivsky. Bobby Murphy will stay Orlando City coach. Chances that the interim coach becomes the head coach?
Doubtful. I don't think he has the experience necessary that they're looking for. He is well liked and respected among the players and in the organization as a whole. He is the person he does walk around. He doesn't just claim that he does this. He actually does it. I've seen it on multiple occasions. He walks around, slaps hands with the players after every match, after every practice, make sure they're good, they don't need anything. He is good technically, and he is good developmentally. His experience and his expertise is in developing young players, but the head coaching professional level experience that they're looking for, he lacks.
All right. So looking ahead, what do you expect from the last next 2 road games from Orlando City? What do you think they need to accomplish on the road?
I think that they know the Red Bulls really well, so that's good for them. But they need to really show the unity that they're talking about that they have, because it has looked a little disjointed. They have looked like they've lacked passion. And if the unity is there and they can get through all these changes and these things that are going on together, then I think they can come out of this weekend maybe not completely unscathed, but without hurting themselves significantly.
That's the goal, to hang around in the Eastern Conference until you can make a huge push. That would be a good result for them. All right, Orlando Pride coming off a win, but they're playing Chicago Red Stars, a really tough team. You know, they're both neck and neck competing for these only 4 spots, and then WSL make the playoffs. It's very different than...
And they're right below Chicago in the rankings.
Right,
so
highly competitive. Big one.
This is a big one, and I'm really, I think that they'll do well against them. From what I saw, and knowing that they're going to have Kristen Edmonds back, and knowing that their new goalkeeper, who was able to pull off, despite the early mistake, what she did after 3 days of training and coming in from New Zealand, that she was able to hold on after making such a big mistake in the beginning and not get rattled, and Kristen Edmonds step up in a makeshift back line, hold that game. I see positive things for them.
All right, I think it's going to be competitive. I think it's going to be tough. They are asking fans to turn out for that game because they say they make a huge difference. It's slightly later. I believe it's in the 7 o'clock hour, 7:30 p.m., and that makes a difference in terms of the heat. They say the fan support is huge. It's critical for them, and I will say they need to finish any chances they get, because this is a competitive Chicago team. I have no questions about the defense, no matter how makeshift it is. It's proven itself. The concern is what they can push forward and how many chances they can convert, because they're going to have to put some away when they get them. They're not going to get as many chances as they did against Boston.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Like I said, there's tons of Orlando City news happening all the time. So you can follow Alicia Delgado at OS Lions and at OS Alicia D. With Alicia, I'm Ileana Limon Romero, and thanks for joining us.